The Golden City. City of 100 Spires. Prague. Hello and welcome to AWZ. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon. Let's travel to Prague together. Prague, Czech. Praha is the name of both the city and the capital of the Czech Republic. It is one of the most beautiful cities on the European continent and the most important economic and cultural center in the Czech Republic. This city may be found right in the middle of Europe. The city has a diverse architectural history that is a reflection of both the unpredictability of the historical currents in Bohemia and an urban existence that dates back more than 1,000 years. There are a great number of historic sites and other sights to see in Prague. The Charles Bridge, Karl of Most, which spans the Vltava River in Prague, is widely regarded as one of the world's most beautiful bridges. The meandering path of the Vltava River, with its succession of bridges and changing vistas, provides a striking contrast to the ever-present backdrop of the great castle of Hradany, also known as Prague Castle, which dominates the left bank region of the city from behind massive walls set high up on a hill. Wenceslas Square and other new parks and housing constructions provide a striking contrast to the older area's tiny alleyways, which are home to quaint pubs and restaurants. On the other hand, the vast Baroque palaces of the 18th century have their own unique air of elegance and splendor. When viewed from the hills that surround the city, the numerous church spires create a distinctive landscape, which is how Prague got its nickname of the City of 100 Spires. The post-World War II planning, which designated the historic district of the city as a major monument and meticulously oversaw the construction of all new structures, contributed significantly to the enhancement of this architectural harmony. The historic district of the city was included on the UNESCO World Heritage List in the year 1992. It is well known that Prague has a vibrant cultural scene. In that city, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart lived, and it was in that city that the world premieres of his Prague Symphony and Don Giovanni took place. In addition, a spring music festival is held in the Czech Republic every year to celebrate the works of such legendary Czech composers as Bedřich Smetana, Antonín Dvořák, and Lajos Janek, who wrote lyrical music. The humorously anti-authoritarian activities of Švejk were immortalized by novelist Jaroslav Haik in the book The Good Soldier Švejk. The setting for these activities was the beer parlor known as Ukalica, which translates to At the Chalice, which is still popular with local residents as well as tourists. The works of Franz Kafka, which focus in a different manner on the difficulties and conundrums of contemporary living, appear to be inextricably tied with the way of life in this city as well. Pop, 2011, 1,268,796, 2021, 1,301,489. A concise overview of the Czech Republic's historical development. Celts were the first people to settle in what is now the Czech Republic, and they did so around the 4th century BC. It was the Boii tribe of the Celtic people who gave the country its Latin name, Boiohemum, Bohemia. The Germanic tribe, who arrived in the area around 100 AD, and the Slavic peoples eventually took the place of the Celtics, 6th century. In the year 863, Constantine and Methodius, two Byzantine Christians on a missionary journey, arrived in Moravia, which is now a part of the Czech Republic. They brought the liturgy from the Slavic culture there. On the other hand, throughout the course of the history of Bohemia and Moravia, the influence of the Roman Catholic Church grew and ultimately became the deciding factor. The rule of the Primoslid dynasty, which began in the 9th century and lasted until the 13th century, was marked by a progressive strengthening of the Czech state. Despite this, the Germans were able to eclipse them, and in the year 950, Bohemia was incorporated into the Holy Roman Empire. The period of time known as the 14th century in Czech history is often referred to as the Golden Age. During the reign of Charles IV, Bohemia flourished economically and expanded its political influence. Even further, in the year 1355, Charles IV was chosen to be Holy Roman Emperor. Long before the Austrians and the Habsburg Empire seized control of the region in the 1800s, the land was governed for a significant portion of history by the Holy Roman Empire. At the beginning of the 19th century, industry in the Czech Republic expanded at a tremendous rate. Not only did the textile sector flourish, but so did the sugar and iron industries. The leading intellectuals of the 19th century, such as the linguist Joseph Dobrovsk and the historian František Palický, were largely responsible for the developing interest in Czech culture and history at this time, a historian. During the same time period, the prolific Czech composer Antonín Dvořák, 1841 to 1904, known for his operas, concertos, and symphonies, also wrote music. The defeat of Austria-Hungary in World War I paved the ground for the establishment of Czechoslovakia as a sovereign nation on October 28, 1918. This event marked the beginning of Czechoslovakia's independence. Tomáš Garriga Masaryk was the initial leader of Czechoslovakia in the role of president. As a direct consequence of the events that transpired at the Munich Conference in 1939, Czechoslovakia came to an abrupt and irrevocable end. At the conference in Munich, Great Britain, France, and Italy, in the absence of Czechoslovakia, came to an agreement to give Adolf Hitler's Germany permission to annex specific regions of Czechoslovakia in exchange for the state of Czechoslovakia being sacrificed. Following the conclusion of World War II, the newly re-established republic was incorporated into the sphere of influence held by the Soviet Union. The Communist Party of Czechoslovakia was in control of Czechoslovakia from the time of the communist coup d'état in February 1948 until the Velvet Revolution in 1989. This lasted for 24 years. During the time when the Communist Party was in control of Czechoslovakia, hundreds of people were subjected to political persecution, and some of them were even put to death through torture. The Prague Spring was a period of political liberalization and public protest in Czechoslovakia that started on January 5, 1968 and lasted until August 21, 1968. This period of time was known as the Prague Spring. Alexander Dubček, the president of Czechoslovakia at the time, made a concerted effort during the Prague Spring reforms to partially decentralize the economy and more democratize the country. This was done in the context of granting additional rights to the people living in Czechoslovakia. The limits placed on travel, speech, and the media were all relaxed as part of the liberties that were awarded. When the Soviet Union and other members of the Warsaw Pact invaded the country in August 1968 to stop the reforms, the attempt to transform and humanize the whole of communism was a failure. The communist dictatorship did not fall apart for good until 1989, when it was eventually brought down by the Velvet Revolution. The handover of power during the Velvet Revolution, which took place in 1989 from November 17th to December 29th, was conducted without resorting to violence. The end of 41 years of one-party rule in Czechoslovakia and the subsequent transition to a parliamentary republic were both brought about as a direct result of massive demonstrations that were led by students and other dissidents against the one-party government of the Communist Party of Czechoslovakia. On the 1st of January in 1993, Czechoslovakia was peacefully split up into two sovereign states known as the Czech Republic and the Slovak Republic. Havel was the successful candidate in the election for the first president of the Czech Republic. In the years that followed, the Czech Republic became a member of the OECD 1994, NATO 1999, and the European Union 2001. The Czech Republic is a pluralist, multi-party, parliamentary democracy at the present time. The president serves as the head of state, while the prime minister serves as the head of government. Both the Senate, with 100 members, and the Chamber of Deputies, with 200 members, make up the Parliament, 81 members. People in general. The people that live in Prague are all of the same ethnicity. There is a sizable population of Slovaks, but the people who call this place home are almost entirely Czech. The city features a variety of demographic quirks, most of which can be traced back to the effects of World War II. For example, the city has a higher percentage of women than men, and a sizable chunk of the female population is no longer of childbearing age. The population is increasing at a fairly slow rate due to natural causes. There is a trend toward smaller families, which is a reflection of both the difficulty in finding suitable housing and the trend toward higher workforce participation by both parents. The influx of people into the city has not slowed down. Cultural life. The internationally renowned Spring Music Festival is the crowning achievement of Prague's illustrious and bustling musical scene, which reaches its pinnacle every year in the city. The Prague Symphony and the Czech Philharmonic are two of the city's illustrious orchestras, both of which have garnered international acclaim. There are also robust theatrical traditions in the city, which is home to over 20 theaters that often draw large audiences. In addition, there are a number of museums and art galleries, as well as a palace of culture that was finished in 1981. However, the Romanesque, Gothic, Baroque, Rococo, classical, and neoclassical structures that are among the city's 2,000 officially recognized architectural and artistic monuments are perhaps the city's greatest treasures. These structures range in period from the Romanesque to the Gothic to the classical and neoclassical styles. Since 1945, the interior spaces of the buildings, which frequently house significant art collections, have been renovated. The Church of St. George, which dates back to the 10th century and is located behind the north wall of Hradany, is most likely the most significant Romanesque monument. Its more enormous successor, the essentially Gothic St. Vitus Cathedral, can be found to the west of the original cathedral, and its twin spires dominate the skyline of the city. Other Gothic monuments include the Bethlehem Chapel, where Jan Hus preached in the 15th century, the elegant Powder Tower, which marks the former city walls in what is now the busy Kopi shopping area, the restored Powder Tower, and the St. Agnes Convent, which was built in 1234 and is notable for its collection of paintings from the 14th century. All of these Gothic monuments are located on Staromstsk, Old Town, Square. The Old New Synagogue and the falling, crowded gravestones of the Old Jewish Cemetery, which is Europe's oldest, are two symbols of the robust Jewish tradition that is alive and well in Prague. This is all for now. Check out other videos on our channel.